I think a digital fix is that right now we spend too much of our time in what the Greeks call chronos time, where we have a very specific set of things that we do and we're constantly interrupted by push notifications and phone calls and battery life and Bluetooth. And what we need is to have the technology work with us instead of against us so that we have more human time and we can focus more on our own self-reflection and building things and being more creative. I think a lot of our attention is more hijacked by social networks than we expect, and we're kind of working for all these different platforms versus just being calm and having the ability to work alongside the tech as if it were a tool. Calm technology is a concept created in the 80s and 90s at Xerox PARC. Researchers Mark Weiser and John Seely Brown said that at some point in the future, devices will outnumber each of us. And at that point, how those devices and those technologies make or break our attention will make or break those devices. That the scarcest resource in the future would be our attention. And that it's really important to make technology that works with us without overburdening that attention. So it can seamlessly work like a book captures our attention, but then we can fold it and put it away and it doesn't demand anything. Or the idea of electricity where you flip on a light switch and you don't notice the electricity until it breaks. So how do we have technology that's in our environment but boring and it doesn't fail very much and it's just there with us, there when we need it and not when we don't. I think people are realizing that technology is in every single moment of their lives. So I think we're at a kind of peak attention moment, and from here we need to realize that we can offload some of that information into other senses, and that there's a better way to interact with technology that isn't just consuming, but also using that to make things and working alongside it. And that we have these ideas of AI from movies, that there could be a perfect thing outside of us that understands us better than we do ourselves. But we've forgotten the ideas of cybernetics and working with technology, amplifying the best of what humans can do and the best of what machines can do. I think we need positive science fiction in order to have a good digital future. Right now we have a lot of negative science fiction, but a lot of what we have today came from Star Trek. We have the iPad and all of these things. So if we follow that a little bit more, we'll get more decentralized distributed computing, we'll have high-tech zones, but we will also respect culture. And I think one of the things that we need to fix is that we need to celebrate culture and all of the qualitative instead of just quantitative things. We need to amplify our humanness and allow ourselves to preserve and respect what history has brought us and have a good blend of the old and the new, so that we don't lose our purpose when we become very efficient. Efficiency isn't necessarily purpose. It isn't necessarily exciting. You don't want to automate hanging out with your kids. You want to have more time to hang out with our kids. And I think the original promise of technology was to give us more time. Yet all the technology in our lives has given us less time. So how do we calm down the technology so that we, again, have that original promise to have more time? I think I'm looking forward to more art in the digital future and more in-person events, more surprises, more abilities to be innovative, like making organisms that can eat plastic in the ocean, more competitions for that. Just trying to think about how we can use it for positive instead of just negative, and how a single inspiring thing can influence the whole world. So hopefully we can get to a point where efficiency means carrying our own data with us and associating that with somebody else for a period of time so that we can get something out of it versus storing all of our data outside of ourselves and expecting every company to be good at providing a service and good at providing security as well. I think that NEXT is, it's kind of like a festival in the United States called South by Southwest. I like NEXT because it has this association with a music festival and it has lots of different perspectives and lots of different activities to do, which is really nice, and it's full of like interesting food and people. So it's not like your typical tech conference where you go in and you just listen to somebody. There's all of these other tangential things that help us remind ourselves of the human piece, and I think that's very inspiring. The conference is not afraid to be critical of technology and constructive about it at the same time. So there's a whole range of perspectives that we get instead of one solid perspective that's considered right.